Good afternoon, this is Travel Man of Kent. Today we're doing something a little bit different. We're going to go back in history and explore Rushenden Pier and its little branch line. Let's get that intro rolling. The Queenborough rolling mill was built on the site of a former cement works, and its industrial railway ran to the exchange sidings. It is known that the firm McAlpine Ferro Concrete Company Limited were contracted by Queenborough Wharf to build a reinforced concrete jetty on the River Swale. McAlpine having obtained a licence to use this reinforcing technique, although details are sketchy, but it appears that the jetty became operational come 1928, and subsequently the Queenborough Wharf Company was wound up a few months later in 1929. The jetty and the associated industrial railway to Queenborough Station appear to have been used for coal traffic by Settle Speakman until the jetty was used by Shipbreakers Limited. The big changes was when a rolling mill was built on part of the former cement works near Queenborough Station. The rails were recovered from railway lines, arrived by ship and by rail, were rolled to produce steel bar for use in reinforced. Just going to hold it there. Yeah, I'm just going to show you something a little bit different.
Do you long for that smell? A smell from a bygone era. But you really don't fancy getting soot in your face or your hair? Or even if you just change your mind and just don't want to do anything that day? Well, now you can. Full steam ahead, made by a man cave, and use this discount code for 15% off your first purchase.
The reinforcement bar was then dispatched by ship, rail and road with the use of second-hand industrial locomotives and wagons for movements between the works and jetty. The works were then taken over by the International Steel Processing Company, iSteel, in 1993, and then purchased in 2006 by Estar. In 2010, the mill was then operated under the name Invicta Merchant Bar. It is thought the railway to the jetty had ceased by this time. Unfortunately, by 2013, all assets were sold due to the closure of the mill. At this moment in time, that was all the information that I could find on the industrial railway. So if you have any more information, please let me know in the comments. Now, let's get into exploring the area and see what's left. Where do I sit down? Okay, so as you can see behind me, this was the former site of the rolling mill in Queenborough. That was unfortunately closed in 2013, I believe, as it was sold off, or whatever it is. But now it is touted for redevelopment as the area is over there. But the signs and the rails are still in situ. Really cool artifact I found here is the hand puller for the signals. It seems like it's still connected. I could really do with a haircut. Okay, so I'm getting closer to what they call Rushenden Pier, which is in the village of Rushenden, just over there. And so I'm currently walking on the old rail line. There's no rails as I can see at the moment. And I've nearly just slipped over because of mud. That was a close one. And yeah, so let's keep going and see what we can find. Within 30 seconds of saying that, I've just found some there. Okay, so as you just saw there, a bit of a glint there, but as you just saw, we are now walking on the former track bed up to the Rushenden Pier. Now, in the audio, in the audio before this or after this, I will explain that this event started off as a concrete plant and then eventually finished up as a breaker's yard due to when BR legislated that all wagons and so forth in that sort of form of transportation or carriages, whatever you want to call them, they decided to legislate that all wagons etc had to be vacuumed, as they would say. So obviously that meant a lot of wagons were ripped up and destroyed and melted into other things. Now as I've been led to believe, a lot of these wagons actually ended up at this breaker's yard, the former concrete plant, which was then eventually turned into a breaker's yard. And it's quite fantastic that I'm here today, and I'm currently walking on some old ballast, as you can see there. So that was part of the former line before they turfed it up in 2013, I believe, and a lot of the locos and rolling stock that were associated with the rolling mill were either scrapped or sold on to, I'm going to try and find this out, but hopefully some of it was saved and put into preservation. But let's continue. Found some more evidence of a previous line that was here. Some sleepers there. Now, regarding to the sleepers, from what I've seen online and other places, apparently when these sleepers deteriorated to a point where they could not be used and they were just crumbling, simply what they would do is get a 7-plank wagon and reuse the timbers on the floor of the wagon itself to as basically as a reuse of those bits of wood, rather than just being thrown away or burnt up. So that was a very ingenious way of reusing stuff that was pre-existing. Yeah, let's keep going. And also to that as well, apparently this was a very bumpy line, very rickety, and yeah. Right, let's go back because I can't go any further on the track bed, so I'm now going to have to follow it. I've just tripped. I'm now going to have to follow it from the side. As you just seen in that photo, the telegraph poles there are still another remnant of the line that used to exist here. Alright, a little bit different, a bit of urbex here, but there is actually a building that still exists right next to this little line here. Now, I haven't been able to find much on this little building, but from what I have found, it was apparently like a booking-in office for when a loco would come off the main line from Queenborough, and obviously through the rolling mill, and then take unvacuumed wagons up to here to be broken. Apparently as well, from what I've seen on Flickr, is that apparently a couple of like Bullets and a couple of other southern locos have actually made their trip up here at some point. I mean, that would be amazing to see if someone could provide some photos with that. That'd be absolutely fantastic. So let me know in the comments if you can do that at all. But brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Another bit here is I found, my hair, excuse me, is what they call coal washers wharf. So coal was sent here in quite vast quantities and washed and then obviously sent out to local towns in the area, obviously by water. So that's another bit of history there that's involved. It's quite fantastic to see that's in still some sort of condition. Obviously you can tell by it it's not going to be used ever again, but it's an absolute, I think personally this line would have been perfect for a little railway. You know, what a unique little situation you would have here with a station at that end up to here. But unfortunately the actual site beyond here, which is where all these ships and these barges are, is now private land, so you can't actually access that, and I'm sure I can't even access this part either. But whilst you can do it if you can. It's just a brilliant little bit of history there. Unfortunately it's just, yeah, it's a shame that it obviously doesn't exist anymore, but it's just, yeah, I mean, you've got ships over there as well, barges, and yeah, that's it. The piece must have been like a fence post or something like that used when the line actually existed here, but it's obviously been repurposed for something else. Let me know in the comments if you know. And another bit to the breakers yard, so what would happen is once all the wagons and that were broken up here, where they were then taken back down there to the rolling mill to be what they call smelted. Was it smelted? I don't know. Let's go with smelted. So they were smelted down and then used as reinforcing for concrete. So it's another use out of metal there. Obviously another concern is that if you was to run a little railway here, you would need some serious investment in reballasting the line that used to exist, because obviously you're now getting tides higher than you were 20 or 30 years ago, so it wouldn't be long before the line would be washed away underneath, which is obviously a shame, but you know, it's just an idea. Alright, so you've just seen it, there was a pirate ship. Of all things to see in Greenborough, there is a pirate ship. Now looking into that, there was a venture by an engineer to run galleon ships in the area from Greenborough Harbour all the way around to like Orr and whatnot, and around the sort of coastline. Can't find much on what's happened, but as late as 2013 it was looking like it was all systems go and these tours were going to start happening. Unfortunately it's just gone dead quiet, which is almighty shame, because that would have been definitely a good addition to the area. And from what I've seen on Google Maps and the ship that you've just seen, there's a few more dotted around past Rushenden Pier. Nearly slipped over again on the same spot as I did earlier. So yeah, I mean, from what I've seen of Sheerness and the island in general, there was a lot going for this place. It was such an industrial island that was well interconnected with rails and you know, the metal industry, and unfortunately now all of that has now gone, and it's a real shame because it had so many jobs in the area, and obviously so many people lost their jobs as a result of the steel mill closing. The dockyards in Bluetown have closed. That's more or less now used as a ferry service for trailer only services to Holland and France, I believe, but there are talks of eventually getting a ferry service back in action again from here. I think personally it would be a massive benefit to the area, and I keep slipping over and I'm covered in now in shoes. My mud shoes are now covered in mud. But yes, almighty shame really, because it was such a high prospect area. I mean, the bridge that now goes over into Sheerness was supposed to be the start of this sort of mini industrial revolution on the island, and it never came to fruition. And unfortunately most of the island now is just being redeveloped for housing, which is another shame, because that's just bringing more traffic into an infrastructure that is not ready for it. But yeah, that's it. Now I'm walking back to Greenborough Station. Basically what it is, I can't get access to all the former sidings of the rolling mill because it's all been repurposed now as warehouses, but which is an almighty shame, because I'm sure there would have been some rails still sitting there. What I'm going to do is, from this video, I'm going to start exploring the line. Start going to certain areas, exploring certain parts where I can get access to, and this will be a little playlist. I hope so. Hopefully that all goes to plan, but that's that. And all I can say is as I would say, is thank you very much for watching. Can't believe I forgot that, but don't forget to like and subscribe, and keep an eye out for future content relating to this little railway, this area, as you would say. I'm now running out of words, but yeah, continue to keep watching. Thank you for subscribing, whoever you are at the moment. It's really appreciated, and all the likes and subscribes really do help my channel grow further. So thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next one. See you.